So today I have some questions for you, and the first one is, do you think Catholics that rarely go to church should be able to receive communion?
Well, it depends because if they go to church often, I think they should receive communion.
How does practicing religion affect your daily life?
Well, it helps me become a better person in Christ.
The third question is, how do you show that you are Catholic?
Well, I'm not Catholic, but if I was Catholic, I would probably go to the church often and wear the crucifix.
The fourth question is, what is your motivation to go to Mass?
My motivation to go to Mass is to get closer to God.
And the last question is, how does going to church strengthen our faith?
Well, it makes me closer to God, and now I'm more active by helping people around me and giving them what they are in need.
I definitely think so, just because personally, like, I am one of those Catholics. I do like to go to Mass, but my family doesn't go as often as I would prefer, and a church is a very spiritual experience. Like, if you're going to church and you're just, like, half-mindedly there, then did you really go to church in the first place? I do like to pray, I like to pray every day. I don't do it every day just because, like, life is hard and, like, I'm busy. But, like, I like to pray, and I like to try and be thoughtful because, I feel better after a good prayer, and, like, it really does help give me, like, a little bit of guidance and helps me think about, like, my life and where I'm going. Mostly personal. I mean, I have this hoodie from when I led a retreat, which I'm very proud of, but it's mostly just, like, a personal thing. I don't like to, like, talk about it so much to make, like, other people uncomfortable, but, like, if the conversation comes up, I'll say, yeah, I'm Catholic, and yeah, I love to pray. I do have a very personal connection with God that I love. I'm very happy with my faith. My motivation is just, like, I don't know, like, I'll be honest, half of Masses I go to, the sermon is just, like, not there. It's just like, oh, be a good person, and I get tired. I have ADHD, sitting there for an hour. Sometimes I am dozing off. But on a good sermon, like when a priest is talking about something and it's like, this connects so much with what I'm going through, or this is something I needed to hear right now, it's like, it makes your day, it makes your week. It definitely gives you something to listen to, and I always love to listen. Mostly through, again, the sermons, when a good sermon comes that is like what I needed to hear right now. The first time you experience like a sermon that's just like so specific to like your life and you feel like it just touches you in such a personal way, it's like the only way this is possible is through God. And I mean, some people might disagree, but it just feels that way.
Do you think Catholics who rarely go to church should be able to receive communion?
I do think that because it doesn't matter after they have already had their communion. Practicing my religion affects my daily life by making me want to go to church more.
How do you show that you are a Catholic?
I show that I'm a Catholic by going to church,
What motivates you to go to church?
to learn more about religion.
How does going to church strengthen your faith?
It teaches me more about religion.
The quotes that we've chosen from our textbook help us show that the church is a good thing in our lives and it can be very beneficial and healthy. It could help us maintain good habits and be better people for other people who need our help.
3 things I learned from the videos were that everyone has a different relationship with God. Some people view certain aspects of our faith as more important than others, and faith plays an important role in everyone's life even if it's not evident. Everyone seemed to have different interpretations of their faith and the church, but they all had a lot of respect for religion and beliefs. And it surprised me how genuinely everyone talked about their beliefs in the church.
Things that I have learned from these interviews are that people, whether from different religions or not, have a very common central idea of what the church is and what it should be. I've also seen that people do respect it and that they understand what its motivation is and what the mission of the church is supposed to be. They all had a kind of agreement on what it is that the church does, and I also am surprised at how open people were about how they felt about the church.
One thing that I've learned from these interviews is that even if you aren't a part of the Catholic faith, you still can have virtues, strive to do what is morally correct, and help those around you. Second thing that I've learned is that everyone has different opinions about whether or not you should receive communion if you don't go to church often. Lastly, even though you go to a Catholic school, that doesn't mean everyone has the same beliefs. Students may have different opinions about the church and disagree, yet still respect it. There are a number of similarities. First of all, everyone strives to be a good person just like Jesus. Even though some people may not believe in God, everyone knows what is right and wrong and knows what they should do is right. This will not only help themselves spiritually, but also those around them. One of the differences in the interviews was that one person believed it was okay for someone who doesn't go to church often to be able to receive the Eucharist and be a part of the church. The interview response that shocked me the most and surprised me was the one where one of the people interviewed talked about how they prayed to God to give them guidance of His plan for their life. I found this the most surprising because this is exactly how I feel right now in my life. I truly believe God has a perfect and special plan for everyone.
3 things that I learned from these interviews are that even though we are all of different religions, we all kind of share a center point and we're all intertwined in our opinions, like our motivations to go to church. Another thing that I learned is that we want to get closer to God and we want to have a better relationship with God. And the last thing I learned is that even though we all go to Catholic schools, we all have different opinions about the church. For similarities, like I said before, we're all intertwined for some of our opinions, and our differences is that even though we are connected, like I said before, we still have different opinions on the church and stuff like that. And finally, the responses that shocked me the most are with the first question about whether a person is allowed to have communion or to receive communion even though they haven't gone to church in a long time. We all kind of said different things, and that really shocked me.
3 things I learned was how we all just want to learn more about Jesus and religion. Second is how people want to stay in touch with him, like it's always different, like through prayer, through sermon, and then how the communion answer, how people were like, oh, it doesn't matter, and it does matter. Some similarities was that everyone, whichever way their answer went, was trying to connect with God. Like there was no like trying to be separated. It was all trying to find ways to be connected with him. And then what surprised me the most was how everyone, again, just trying to connect and find a way, either through prayer or through learning through Jesus and religion, trying to be